Sufjan Stevens' 11th studio album, Javelin, will be released on October 6th via his record label Asthmatic Kitty. It'll be his first solo studio album since 2020's The Ascension, and per the label, it'll be his first full solo singer-songwriter album since Carrie and Lowell in 2015. So, what's it going to sound like? What have we learned about this album from the single, the track list, and the press release announcement? We got our first look at cover art, art direction, merch, and the exclusive vinyl for this album. And will Sufjan finally be going back on tour for the first time in over 8 years? What's up, y'all? Devon here again for Obligatory, bringing you another weekly roundup of music news, just as we do here every Friday. Today is August 18, 2023. We'll be talking all things Sufjan Stevens' new album, as well as there's a Talking Heads reunion of sorts taking place. There's a bunch of stuff I want to get to, all very exciting, so we'll start right ahead with Sufjan Stevens, and I want to know what y'all thought about this new single, So You Are Tired. This is the lead single for the album, and it'll be track number 7 out of 10 on what will be a 42-minute long record. If we're going based solely on just the single here, single alone, then we are so fucking back, dude. It's not even funny. Like, this is exactly the kind of wistful, chamberfolk, orchestral shit that we have been wanting to hear from Sufjan for some time. This is his bread and butter. This is his bag. On this track, there's some really nice acoustic strings, some really pretty piano play, some background vocals that really sweep this thing up and level it up to new heights. I'm really just hoping that the track list in general can live up to the height of this single, because to me, this is it. And taking a look at the track list here, there are a few interesting notes. Of course, we have the single. There's also an 8.5-minute long track called Shit Talk, which features some guitar play from Bryce Dessner of The National. And if you take a look at the final track called There's a World, the label has confirmed is a cover of the Neil Young song by the same name, which was released on the 1972 Harvest album. Sufjan actually did a live cover of this song all the way back in 2015 when he went on his last tour, and I'm really interested to see how this is adapted from the original song to this album, as well as maybe the differences between that performance and this studio recording of it. Now, as for the sound of the record, what I could gather from the accompanying press release, there is a real intention to retread the stylings of an album like Carrie and Lowell. From what they're saying, it sounds like they're gonna take the indie folk appeal of that album and possibly bridge it with some of the stuff from The Ascension, which was a more electronic-laden album, really has an indie-tronica kind of slant to it. Here's a quote from the press release. Choral, orchestral, and electric wonder it all shows in Javelin, all of it animating these songs as full spectacles. In each song, we hear the vulnerability and candor of quiet starts, then Sufjan raising the stakes. So, much like we heard on the single, a lot of these tracks will start very quiet and intimate, and they will flourish into something more lush and adventurous. I'm also generally feeling the art direction for this album. The album cover was made by Sufjan himself. The merch is expensive, of course. We all know that was going to be the case, but it's pretty cool. And then the AKR exclusive vinyl looks pretty worth its $27 price tag, and very badly makes me want a Mountain Dew Baja Blast. Now, is Sufjan finally going on tour? There's no real official word on that. There's no real implication of it either. It doesn't sound incredibly likely. I think from what I've read, I don't know how into touring Sufjan really is at this stage in his career. We still have like almost 2 months until this album actually comes out, so maybe there's going to be an announcement later on. But at this time, we haven't heard anything, and to be honest, I wouldn't hold my breath about it. Any and all things Sufjan down in the comment section, we will be replying to, so hit us up. But that's not the only album announcement that we wanted to cover this week. There's actually a couple more that I'm really excited about. The first is Teezo Touchdown, who's been on the rise for a minute now, is finally dropping his debut album, How Do You Sleep at Night, on September 8th. If you're not so familiar with him, he's done some pretty notable features recently, even with Modern Jam on the Travis Scott Utopia album, but he's also had recent placements on albums by Tyler, the Creator, Rico Nasty, Don Toliver, Paris, Texas. He's a pretty creative, unique artist that likes to color outside the lines and try lots of different things, so there's no real telling what this album is going to explicitly sound like, what genres he's going to play with, but if I had to guess, I think there will be a base of hip-hop, trap, pop punk, indie pop, that sort of thing. Show Me the Body's Trouble the Water album has been out for almost a year now. It's a pretty good project, and they're going to be dropping a Remixes EP on the 31st of this month with contributions from a bunch of rappers I love. Would have never expected them to be here, but I'm here for it. RXK Nephew, Pink Sivu, Sloss Him Alone, and more on a 5-track EP that remixes a few songs from the record. I mentioned it earlier, but Talking Heads will appear together for the first time in 21 years since their Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction in 2002. If you know very much about Talking Heads, you know their split was not super amicable. It was very contentious and ugly. So to see them coming together, all 4 of the members of the group, is a pretty big deal for a lot of people. David Byrne actually talked about the dynamic of the group in a recent interview with People. He was quoted as saying, "As a younger person, I was not pleasant to be around, and the end wasn't handled very well," he says. "It was pretty ugly." The reason for the reunion is the A24 4K screening and remaster of their 1983 concert film and documentary directed by Jonathan Demme, titled Stop Making Sense. This film will be premiering at the Toronto International Film Fest, and following the premiere and screening of the film, all 4 members of the group will sit down with Spike Lee to do a Q&A. Should be interesting. Definitely will be historic for the group. Pretty special to see them all come together, even if just for work, for an interview, for, something that they're promoting. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's pretty exciting to see, actually. Activision, the video game developer, is dropping its lawsuit against Anthony Fantano of The Needle Drop. If you were here with us a couple weeks ago, first of all, thank you. But we talked about Anthony Fantano getting sued by Activision over a TikTok audio that originated from Fantano. And Fantano has been somewhat aggressively pursuing a settlement from the video game developer in the neighborhood of 6 figures. Now we are learning in an update that as of this week, the case has been dropped and will not be refiled, which I can't imagine is a positive thing on the side of Activision trying to not settle with Fantano over this. And that's the update. That's pretty much all the information we have now, and maybe all the information we'll have moving forward. I mean, on the side of Fantano, he has been radio silent, probably because he's about to get a bag off of them, and he's not trying to fuck that up. Next up, I wanted to cover some vinyl box sets and reissues, mainly Injury Reserve dropping a definitive discography box set as they retire the name Injury Reserve and transition into being a duo by the name of By Storm. If you didn't see this already, it went on sale today. It's a 5 LP set that includes everything: the mixtapes, the EP, the debut, and of course the finale. Did anyone throw $200 to get their hands on this? I mean, it's absolutely worth it at $40 a record. All of these I would be very excited to have. I'm very excited for anyone who did actually buy this. Green Day is celebrating the 30th anniversary of their breakthrough album 1994's Dookie, and will be releasing a box set vinyl with live performances and unreleased demos with some poopy colored vinyl that looks kind of cool. A little gross, but yeah. And last but not least, this one's very painful to talk about. I'm still kicking myself for not seeing before it was sold out that Stone's Throw was reissuing J-Lib's Champion Sound, that would be J Dilla and Madlib, for its 20-year anniversary, with this absolutely stunning double vinyl that looks unbelievable, with one in a Detroit Pistons theme and one in a Lakers theme. Even cooler because in 2004, these two teams faced off in the championship. Those Rasheed Wallace, Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton Pistons were and still are my favorite basketball team of all time. And here I am with nothing to show for it. This vinyl was only $45, an absolute freaking steal. I really just wanted to show it to you guys because it's amazing, but I'm getting sick talking about it.
What the fuck, y'all? God damn! God damn!
And finally, a huge, absolutely monumental rest in peace to Clarence Avant, aka the Black Godfather of Hollywood, or of the music business. Clarence Avant was one of the most well-connected music execs, period. But he was also extremely influential and important to Black history within the music industry. He was the best friend of Quincy Jones, the founder of Sussex Records, which most notably released some of the early Bill Withers albums, and he will certainly be remembered for the increased access and exposure to Black artists that was allowed for them in the music industry in very tough times. And he was known as a guy that could always get a deal done, could get two sides of a party to come together, usually for the greater good of Black people in the music industry. If you want to know more about him, which I sincerely hope that you do, there's a great documentary about his life that came out a few years ago, and it does a great job of portraying his legacy as well as his network, which I think is really important in understanding his legacy as he now passes away at the age of 92. All right, this next thing we do at the end of every video, albums coming soon. We have a big old list of albums with confirmed titles and release dates. These are albums that me, myself, and other members of Obligatory have been keeping track of and putting into a spreadsheet. Everything listed in bold is something that I personally am looking forward to hearing. September is looking like a really, really great month. We also do a new releases video every week, and that'll be posted after this one. And if you follow us on Instagram, we are always doing album review surveys where your scores get compiled with ours. If you have any interest in that, I'm showing some albums on the screen now that we will be reviewing soon. Those surveys are linked in the description. And until next time, y'all, thank y'all so much again. Peace out. We love you. Obligatory forever. Bye.